This is the Future of the Future show. I am your host, Mateo Berbejicio. Today, I am excited to welcome Armin Aghili, a seasoned technologist who has transitioned from being an in-house employee to forging his own path as an entrepreneur and contractor. Armin brings a unique perspective at the intersection of cutting-edge technologies like AI and extended reality (XR), and currently leads innovation at Ultimate Dimension, a company revolutionizing renovation estimating with advanced tech solutions. We will explore his journey, his insights on the evolving tech landscape, and how AR and XR are reshaping industries, including the world of construction estimates and beyond. Armin, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. After that introduction, I don't really want to say anything more. I feel like I've made it. Everything is done. Thank you.
Very good, very good.
Uh, Thank
Armin,
you.
let's get started with the very basics. How did your journey begin in tech, and what motivated the shift from working as an employee to becoming an entrepreneur and contractor?
Yeah, so I think we're gonna go back quite a bit. So, as a kid, I always loved tech, and when I'm saying tech, I mean computers and video games. That kind of got me into IT lessons. I did great. Math lessons, I did great. The rest, not so much as much. So it was no surprise that I went to college doing IT. Loved just making anything. Like you can make websites, you can make different things, and they come to life. You see them. I mean, who doesn't love that? And that was really a foundation of getting into tech. And then university, same thing. I went after a course that let us do projects. So when I joined the Greenwich University, they told me that hey, you can choose courses that you can do courseworks and projects, and you can get grade on those for a lot of majority of things rather than tests. And just loved it. And that got me into like making games, making different softwares straight away in university. And it was incredible. And graduation, I did computing with games development. This is the nightmare part. You come out and you're like, entertainment. No, the job market for that field is actually one of the hardest part to get in, and that was a shock for me. In fact, one of the funny one was Riot Games. I had a quick chat with someone from Riot Games, small interview-ish. What the recommendation was that the guy literally told me, he's like, I don't think you're ready for this internship, but if you make an app on the side, it gets around 2 to 3 million downloads, then give me a call for this internship. And that's a low level for internship for you at the entertainment and game side. So in those, I joined the normal IT jobs, just doing databases and the back end for holiday sort of softwares. But on the side, I was always making stuff. Most importantly, I was making a game on the side with a friend of mine who we met in university. Now, this is important because university, one of the things that I learned about it, and we hear about how you don't need university to do a lot of coding and stuff. I kind of agree with that. But university was great for me because I met a lot of people that even today, and even co-founder that we have today, I met them there. So
Right.
with Daniel, we made games, and on the side, one of the game was Android and iOS game. Really got me to understand optimization. Now, this is I'm telling you about this because I got lucky and got called over for an interview in an entertainment job, which, funny enough, they had seen the game. And they started asking me about the optimizations on the game and things. There must have been one of the very few people who downloaded. We didn't get to 2 million downloads, by the way, so I didn't join Riot Games. And that interview really got me into thinking people do see like all of the stuff that you do outside and they really matter. And that got me the job there. That was my entrance into entertainment. And it wasn't a full-time job. It was a contract. So when you ask like, how did I get in there? I think from the get-go, I almost left the jobs to be in entertainment, and contracts was the main thing in entertainment. And it was a 12-month one, so it was a long one. And it was one of the projects that really changed my life because of two things. One is we worked on a virtual reality roller coaster project, which turned out to be the world first one in Alton Tower. And my job was mostly on the optimization side, and learned a lot. And then second one was I got my hand on one of the HTC Vives and I put it on. There was only four of them in the UK. The
Wow.
second I put that on, I was like, wow, I want to do this more. But yeah, so going back to your question, so that's where contracting kind of started. And yeah, and then further and further, freelancing extended because of, again, going back to University of France. I joined after in a company called Blipper because a friend of mine was working there and said, hey, we need a technical quality assurance.
Right.
Now, I haven't done that before. That was an incredible job, and I would recommend quality assurance to absolutely anyone who wants to do producer job or product management or even project management, because you get to really see a lot of angles,
Okay.
different points of views in the job, and you get to also see from a perspective of a user, and that really helped me and open my eyes. And yeah, and further, just more contracts, and that was freelancing. And today, entrepreneurship, that's a whole different thing. Do you want me to keep going, or
No, tell
about
me
the
about the
story?
biggest. So let's go about the biggest challenges, right? What are the biggest challenges both in freelancing and entrepreneurship, right? Because freelancing, it's you're really an entrepreneur, and then
Yeah,
entrepreneurship, like building a company, and you start hiring people and all that jazz, right? So, what do
yeah.
you see, are the biggest challenges of living that sort of life?
So I think freelancing for me, uh, I would say, to just make this a little bit easier for myself to explain them. For me, freelancing came in quite naturally, especially as my dad had done it, and he connected me with an accountant straight away. So a lot of the complexity came from an accounting sort of perspective. Big thing I learned in freelancing: if you want jobs, you got to go beyond. And if a lot of the jobs I got were the same people I worked with, and then I worked with them again. And that's really how I transitioned from really just a developer to technical project manager to technical product manager. And what do I mean by going beyond? Most of the companies have X problem, they employ a contractor right now to come and solve it. But the second you're in, majority of the time you can see other problems. There's other things you can help with. Do those. And from my side, I didn't even ask for money for some of those. I helped them, and that resulted in more contracts. In fact, funny enough, I worked for a company called Costain. It's a civil engineering company that hired me for 2 weeks. That ended up as a 2-year job, 2 years of contract, extending 4 weeks at a time. But that is basically looking at, hey, I can help more. And it got to a point where the person would come to me with a simple sort of task that we would be sitting in a car and say, hey, how can we make this a multi user sort of solution? So they wanted a multiplayer sort of virtual reality experience rather than a singular sort of experience in virtual reality or immersive tech. And that all came from one car ride to, hey, we can do this. And that became an extension of the contract. So that's on the freelancing side. I think just do a lot as much to satisfy the client. On an entrepreneurship and startup, I think one of the hardest thing that really hit me like a moving truck was you are responsible for others. And people say it's not personal, it's business. That did not hit me the same way. It is personal when you're hiring someone who has wife and kids, and you're responsible on their payment, especially as a startup. You have to really think that, hey, for the next 6 months, 12 months, 16 months, and really even afterward, I really have to make sure there's this job and extension for this person. That's how at least I felt it. And that was the biggest biggest thing for me, the difference when it comes to entrepreneurship, employing others, and feeling responsible for them. And also there is a lot of work when it comes to having your startup that aren't to do with what you're showing in the front end. I would say that probably. And be ready with that truck hitting you if, of like having a soul and letting people go and stuff at a time, bad times. I don't want to ever do it.
So go beyond, take more responsibilities, and being responsible for others. I love it. Those two are are great titles for everything that we are discussing. Um, let me ask you this: when you go beyond, when as a freelancer go beyond, do you do stuff for free, or do you mean like, hey, I can help you with this? How does it work, right? How do you take that balance between doing more and going beyond, but also charging for your time and your work, and making sure that there's a balance there?
So it is a lot of time listening and understanding what the problem is and where the company or that individual is at. I'll give you an example. Actually, fairly recently, I was doing I did help a friend. I'm saying friend, but it was someone that I work for, to do another bid, a tender for a bigger job. Now they didn't have the money to pay me for that job. They didn't have I knew that, so I couldn't ask for that. So, but I helped them on all the technical aspects on that tender. I knew they're applying for it. I knew they would be struggling. They didn't ask. I went and offered it. Hey, that's tender coming. Let me help you out. I can even like tell you what team members you can put in from a technical perspective and all of that. So that's an example of it. And in a normal circumstance, yes, you would want to be as a consultant charging for that. But in that circumstance, I knew the person didn't have the budget to pay me for it. But I was more than happy to help him. And this is going beyond. If he would have won the project, he didn't win that project. If he would have won the project, he would have employed us as well. And that would have been a 6 month contract for I and three other people that I would have brought on for the project.
That makes a lot of sense, and I love the mantra. Really, I really love
Yeah.
it.
Thank
Um,
you.
let's talk a little bit about AI. How have you integrated AI into your projects or workflow? And what have been the most impactful or surprising use cases you encountered so far?
So I think AI comes around a lot these days. So there is one thing that to separate them. I think everyone knows like ChatGPT and LLMs. They've been very helpful in doing a lot of paperwork, to be honest with you, which I shouldn't say this, but sort of helping with a lot of paperwork. And then you're talking about coding side, it helps and it helps the team. We're talking about Copilot from that perspective. Copilot with the programming on a prototype, I would say it can speed up prototyping 100 to 150%, as extreme as that. On a real product or a project, in a right hand, someone experienced, it can increase the speed. I would say anywhere between 20 to 40%. That's how we've experienced with it, and that's how we're utilizing it, at least from a AI point of view. And I want to emphasize on that it is much different on a prototype and on a real project because they can hallucinate, they can mess up the other parts of code, and you can actually do negative if the person is not experienced enough to understand what the new chunk of code that's been given, what's the effect of that really, and is it breaking some other part? And right now, most people's sort of numbers that they come to their head when it comes to co-pilots and programming is that, hey, I made this prototype that's like amazing. Yes. But when it comes to integrating into a bigger product that's been like developed over years, you got to be very careful and it needs to be someone who understands it. And then when we are talking about AI, we do mean different things. For example, for years we've been around computer visions and vision models. They've been out, and because we worked in augmented reality and depth cameras and things like that, we've been around those as artificial intelligence. They're they are going forward really quickly as well. You got companies like Google with Gemini because of their video system. You can understand your surrounding by significant amounts now, and those have been very incredible for us. But and when we talk about AI, a lot of times we're talking about computer vision from our company side, and we've been using those for years to really understand our surrounding and position things from a simple perspective to like position a little AR character to how can you make this really stick there. Now this becomes a problem when you're not using one of the existing tools that companies like Google and Apple provide. But when you start doing things from scratch yourself, you really need to understand this and do this. And I think uh, when we're talking about AI, there's incredible things happening beyond LLMs. Vision models are growing incredible pace. NLPs, ASRs, there's so much things that are happening. And yeah, how are we using it? We're using it to understand our surrounding. That's one thing, a lot. And then the other is coding, then paperwork.
Very good, very good. I love all the clarity, and I've seen a recently Stanford study that talked about that. Right, I mean the increase in productivity, but also with legacy systems and bigger systems, how dangerous it can be, and all the rework
Yeah.
that AI can create. So I like your point of view there. Um, let's talk about extended reality. What you talked about, putting that headset on and going crazy about it. Tell me about that. Tell me, what are you exploring there, and how is it making a difference in your work and client collaborations? What does it mean to you?
Yeah. So for us, virtual reality and augmented reality, this makes me a little bit sad, but I'm gonna be honest and say it. For me, virtual reality and augmented reality, at least, has been this wow factor. So as a result of it, we've been really using it a lot more around the marketing. When it comes to usefulness, depending on the industry, again, for marketing, incredible. For games, pretty good, but then they have a fall off. So depending on how long you want a game, you're not going to make a World of Warcraft or League of Legends, these lasting sort of games. And people do get tired and their eyes get, it gets a little bit higher. So from our angle, we have used it a lot more around the marketing. And I tell you, like, funny enough, I'm a very product oriented person. What does that mean for me? Whenever I even go to a demo or talk to someone, to a client to pick up a new client stuff, I make sure I take my devices. It could be my laptop and a VR headset or one of the Oculuses. I put them in my backpack and I'll go in that meeting and literally give the person that headset or show them an augmented reality character coming out next to me and talks and then I use that as a wow factor, and then I follow them with the rest of the project because we've been working in all type of industry from civil engineering, entertainment, marketing, and it is a part of it. For us, it's been a part of it, a wow factor and a marketing tool to get us the next better job. And it can be something really boring that we make more fun. Construction, I give you one example. Construction virtual reality. Put the headset on, you're in a real position, click on a beam or something. Now you got all the information from a database. That clicked. They wanted us for a database. And I was like, we won't make it a database. Now you can see the information about each thing in reality as well now. That was a difference between getting a job and not getting a job because everybody else would go with a massive database, put it in a search. Now put it on and click on something. So we use that a lot around marketing. I would say is very powerful for the wow factor. Usability all the time. Uh, I've been around it for over a decade. I found it very hard for long usability. I think is really good in combination with the different things. I feel sad for saying that because I love VR and AR. I just hope more investment goes into making the hardwares better and better every day.
Do you see what are your expectations for the next years in that technology, right? I mean, um, Meta, for example, seems to be betting on that the next device is going to be more glasses and less the phone, right, etc. Do you see that happening? Are you excited about that? What's your view of the future?
Yeah, I agree with someone like Meta. So I wear these glasses. If these glasses could be or the new Ray-Bans, if you put them on, combine that with AI, they can already be very useful. There is a company called Enreal, if I'm not getting their name wrong, and they have another sort of glasses. You can even connect them with your phones. You got like mini computers in your pocket. You're walking around and connect them to your phone, get the power from your phone, and the headset can do a lot of things.
It's exciting. Let's talk about what you're doing today in the renovation space. What sparked the idea behind Ultimate Dimension and its renovation estimating platform, and how are you leveraging technology to solve real world challenges in this space?
Yeah, so Ultimate Dimension originally is a consultancy, but we are working on a new product, which is an AI estimation platform for residential construction, as you said, renovation and that side of things for SMEs, small companies, small residential companies. Now, I'll tell you what actually happened. How did this event come to life? Around May time, we had a flooding in our building, and the after effect of flooding is a lot of mold. I mean, I'm looking at it because it was part of like the walls and stuff. I had molds all over the wall. And I mean, it could have been mushrooms. Like it got to a level where I thought there's going to be like a Mario game you could play on our walls. And it was pretty bad. And the insurance accepted the responsibility, the building insurance accepted responsibility. Now, here comes the pain point. The insurer wanted at least two estimates that they can choose from. Now, this was a lot harder than I ever thought. After using my trade in another other sort of web platform and put the job there, finally I found a few people who agreed to come to a job. First person comes on the job, looks at the around there and stuff, and then I tell them like what sort of proposal is needed also and information about it, and just literally looked at me. He's like, it's not really worth for me to write the estimate. I don't think this job will pay me that much. Like that, for me, that was like, what? Wow. Now, yeah, second person comes around, and then this person I had to pay £300 to out of my own pocket to get an estimate from them. Third person comes around, deja vu of the first person. It's like this is not worth it and stuff like that. And I just say, wait. How about this? Give me an example of your previous jobs that you've done, so I understand like how you write. I will write the whole thing for you, and then you just tell me how, and then you can just change the prices on it and stuff as you want. But you just tell me what you want, and so I did it using ChatGPT. His examples, I wrote one for him. Now, I'm not a complete novice because I have worked in construction companies, as I said, Costain before, and I use that. And this is the surprising part: the AI written one by me won the job, and and that's and I started talking with Daniel again about this problem and his family work in construction, and he was just like, he turned around and was like, "That's the problem, like all my family has." So I just started like really blown my mind at this point. And then I started calling some my old friend from a construction background as well. They told me the same problem. Like writing these estimates and proposals are a pain. And not only are a pain in regarding like, okay, let's write them and it's done. No, you write them, you have a percentage chances of winning it. And it can be many pages. It's got to have the regulations, got compliances, and it takes a long time. And a lot of these SMEs that have to write these is the CEO that has to write it. So I talked to one of the CEOs of this company said, yeah, I kind of stay awake sometimes one or two, and then and then sometimes my wife just shouts at me things like that. This is pretty bad. So there's builders who are not building. There are builders who have to sit down and estimate. Now, that information I'll go and chat again with Daniel, who now is the co-founder of a company also with us working on this. We started talking. It's like, hey, there must be a better way. I mean, if I can write an AI estimate like this, and we just straight away one thing came out. It's like, hey, computer vision has gone a long way. With a simple vision model, you can have all the data you need, whether it's from the architecture drawing from the house or a 5 minute or even a 10-second video of the sort of surrounding. You can have all the data point, all the information of what the job needs to be. Now drop in a AI model that's trained on quantity surveyors, on chartered quantity surveys. Now it can has understanding. Now drop in API models for material and things. You're basically giving it steroids. It really has all the information that even a chartered quantity surveyor will have to spend hours or days trying to get all those regulations and all of that. Now that became like sort of foundation. It's like, okay, these are possibilities. And we went and started creating a prototype. And early early last month, we basically had a prototype. We put it in people's hands, and actual pilots that we knew from construction before, they started using it on sites. And one of the pilots was actually really funny, which is like, wow, just a 5 minute video, and this is like 60% of my job done already. And he used the estimate actually. Funny enough, he changed the margins and other stuff needed to change. And he used it, and he won a 250K project, and then an extension on that project was another 100K, so almost a 350K project. And yeah, so I mean, we other pilots are saying the same thing to us, and we're not published the product yet. We're only working with pilots, and they want to pay us. In fact, one of them wants to become an investor in the company on a pre-seed level, and all went from a there. And I guess it comes down to like when you join a product, what comes to, when you're making a good product, it always comes from a foundation of a problem that you face probably is most likely the best. And yeah, that's what we're working on now. And it's it's something.
It's exciting. It's super exciting.
Yeah.
So what's next for you, right? You are piloting. You have some of the contractors involved in the pilot interested in becoming investors. Um, when do you want to launch? What's your, how does your roadmap look like? The audience must be listening and going like, this is really, I've worked tangentially in the real estate industry, and I know this is a thing, very very important. My experience is mostly with U.S. companies, um, but you are onto something very very big, right? So for anyone listening that wants to know what's next or how they can get in touch with you or even try the product, right? What would you tell them?
So at the moment, we're just signing people to join on the pilot. What we're doing is we're improving the accuracy rating to, at the moment, we would say sits around 60 to 70% for majority of the jobs that we have seen. We want to get that to 90 to 95% accuracy rating. And then there is other sort of things that we need to implement before we actually publish, because we made it very simple for payment and way on the price compared to majority of what people are asking us, where we're going to charge only £8 per estimate, pay as you go. You pay £8, you get your estimate, and you can redo if you need it for that one estimate up to 3 times, no problem. So we're really making it friendly for the SMEs. We want to level the playing field, because I worked in big companies, and well, I can tell you they got like a team of 6 or 7 per each sort of industry, and these bidding people work on writing these estimates, and so a lot of SMEs don't have a chance at winning in comparison for a lot of jobs. So we want to help in regard roadmap. Once our once our prototype gets to that level, I think we're not going to call it prototype anymore. We're going to call it an MVP, and we're going to release it. Release it. Our aim is to have that MVP out within 3 to 6 months from now. Now there is a gap because we don't work really in a waterfall sort of aspect. We work agile. We're not forcing it, and it is a new thing. It really and there's a lot of training needed to be done. We're working with quantity surveyors. We're doing everything to get it to that level. I mean, 95% is pretty high that we are aiming for, and we want to get it to a really good level before we hand it out. And we need to work with the legal teams and stuff before we can make it public. But we do have sign up right now that people can sign up for pilot. We have a good bunch of people at the moment, but we will add the people who are in pilot first to the group of people who can use it. And it is an app for now. It is an Android or iOS app. They can just scan, play, up, drop, drag and drop their files, and they can estimate. They can adjust their estimate or get a PDF file done. It already works, but we want to get the accuracy higher. And the website is rivetmind.com. So that's rivetmind.com. But yeah.
Very good. I love it. Armin, what advice will you have for anyone looking to shift from their careers and get more into contracting, particularly in AI, XR, or starting their own venture, right? I mean, if someone is listening and they get excited about Armin's path and they go like, I want to follow a similar path. What will be your advice?
I I mean if I'm very honest with you, I don't think I'm in a position to advise people. I mean, there's no unicorn here, or there's no $1 billion exit or things like that. But if I would say anything for the freelancing side, it's if you're jumping into freelancing, at least talk to an accountant. It will make your life a lot easier. Make sure your accounts are sorted. And the thing that I said go beyond is a really key thing. If you want your clients to come back, one is doing a good job and do go beyond. Unless you're in one of the sort of industries that you're the only one and they have 100 jobs for it. Then don't go beyond. You don't need to. On a venture and having your own startup, whew, this one, I would probably say if you have a wife and kids, talk to your wife first. Let them know that for the next 3 to 5, you're on the survival mode and working 24/7 probably. And then on the 8 years, on the probably 5 to 8 to 9 years from that side, you're doing good, but you're overworked all the time. And maybe in 11 years, there is like, what is it, 2% chance that you will succeed and uh, yeah, you can retire. But then, yeah, you probably will have no hair and lots of gray hair. That's one thing. And also be prepared to do a lot of work. It is a lot of work. Yeah, is and especially if you're going and what I would say, because you said that around AI and XR, find a problem, have a problem that you're solving. If you're going into, if you're thinking of a startup or making a product, make sure there's a problem. Don't create the product and then go looking for problem. That will not, chances of that working are significantly lower than you I can even imagine. So do actually know that there's a problem. Check it with others. Always try to go around. I think one of the things that I keep saying is that product oriented people are pretty good because you have to learn quite a lot of different things. One of 30% of the job is almost user experience and UI understanding. And you really have to talk to a lot of people, understand the problem. Technical side, if you're just technical, that's not enough. And then you need to understand the sales and the business side. I would probably say get a job as a product manager or something like that somewhere else. So being a startup first, something like that will help you a lot. But hey, if you are young and you're in AI and you got a PhD there, your Meta will probably give you 25 million anyway to sign you up. Don't start your startup. You're sorted for just work for Meta for 3 years, and that's a $25 million, and you're probably got a salary, and hey, you can go play ping pong in their offices.
Living the life, living the life. Armin, one final, very random question to you. What do you do when you are not working?
Very, very good question. And so I'm in a startup. I'm gonna go back to what we said. There is no life. One thing that I can say when it comes to startup, especially if you're putting on a hat of co-founder and CEO role or something like that, if there is a time that you're free and there's nothing to do, you're probably doing something very wrong. Should be very surprised. And if you're dreaming anything outside of your work while you're sleeping, you probably are missing something. But actually, that aside, I love video games. I've always loved video games. I think when Path of Exile 2 came out, I took a day off that turned to 2 days. I got permission from everybody and I played that game and I loved every second of it. And then that was it, 2 days playing video games. So my dream is in 11 years' time when we sell the company, hopefully I get to play the game for another 5 days. But hey, that will get you into trouble if you're putting the time for video games. Your wife will say, "Oh, you have time for video games." so so that I would say free time, spend it with your wife and kids and enjoy the time as much as you can, because the rest of the time, really, if it's a startup, if you're contracting and freelancing, that's a whole different game. I mean, there's plenty of free time that you can have, and you'll be amazed after you contract and go beyond for 1 or 2 years, you're gonna have your phone ringing all the time, and they're gonna come back to you, and you're going to be able to have a much easier normal life. I don't know how you define normal these days, but yeah. Then if you are full-time employed, I a lot of time when I talk to a lot of full-time employed, they're under a lot more stress, especially with the current layoffs and things, than
Mm.
contractors who've built a good relation. Just because a job has a full-time on it doesn't mean you're secure.
Oh,
And I think we're realizing that now. Sorry, I made the fun question a not fun question.
no, no, that makes a lot of sense and I appreciate it. Armin, look, this has been an amazing conversation. I appreciate you taking the time. I hope that we can do this again in the future. I want to stay close to your venture and see how things transpire. And I'm super excited. You have an amazing product, and there's a real problem and need that you're solving for. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Matty. Thank you for having me, and thanks for that amazing introduction. And yeah, you have a great one.